Okay, so here we go to understand this unit where we have analyzing of financial statement, where we are going to see the most important three statements, three tools for financial statement analysis. The first one is comparative statement, second is common size, third is cash flow. Now, firstly, we are going to look at how to prepare a comparative statement. Now, here we have a tip for income statement questions. Now, as we know about profit and loss account, there we start with the revenues and then we have expenses. Then at the end, we have total of them. So, the first thing is revenue from operations, from where your PL accounts begins from. So revenue from operations, which are sales, minus cost of revenue from operations, cost of goods sold, is equals to profit before tax. So how do you calculate profit before tax? By the formula revenue from operations, which is exactly the sales, minus cost of revenue from operations, which is cost of goods sold. Then you get sales, which is total revenue, sales or total revenue, minus cost of goods sold, and cost of goods sold is cost plus other expenses, will give you profit before tax by the other means. Then you can get tax deducted from profit before tax, you will get profit after tax. So here we have a question to look at, and after looking this question we are going to have the idea how to prepare a comparative income statement. So here if we look, we have four items in the particular column given. The first one is revenue from operations, then expenses, then other income, and then the income tax. Now there are 2 years that are also given because it is about analyzing, about comparing two balance sheet. So here you have 2011, here it is an income statement, and here this is of 2012. So this is going to be the previous year, and then this is going to be the current year. Now if you see that in the previous year, revenue from operations, that is sales, are given to be 10 lakh, and in current year 15 lakh. Then expenses 6 lakh, 10 lakh 15,000, 10 lakh 50,000. Then other income 2 lakh and 1 lakh 80,000. Income tax 50%, 50%. So it is given into the percentage form. So how you are going to solve this question? First you need to make the performer. How the performer look like? Let's look at this. So this is a performer and the solution for your question that we are discussing now. So if you see the solution part, here you see that you have a comparative statement of profit and loss for the year ended 31st March 2012. Here in the particulars part, you have revenue from operations, okay, to which you have added the other incomes. Then you get total revenue. When you get the total revenue, you get it by 1 plus 2. One was revenue from operations, which is sale, and then the second one was other income. So you have added sales with the other incomes, you get at the you get the total revenue. So this was what you did. Now here if you see into this column, you have 4 columns to make. First, in 2 columns are going to be the having absolute figures, then the the other 2 columns are going to have change, that is from base year 2010 to 12. Now if you see here in the absolute figures, column A and B, here in the A we have talked about the previous year, and in the B we talked about the current year. Now in the previous year we first talked about like what is given to us in the questions, we copied it. Then in the third column we made absolute figures. In the absolute figures we did B minus A, which given us C. Then into the fourth and the last column we calculated the percentage. So B minus A, current year, minus previous year, will give us the change in the year, and after having the change we will be calculating the percentage change. So the percentage change is going to be calculated by the difference between the 2 years, the past years and the present year or the current year, then multiplied by 100 upon the previous year. Previous year was indicated by the letter A, so we have made C into 100 by A. So this was the solution that we did. Now try to do it your own. Okay, so you have the question here, just without seeing the solution, first try to do it your own. Now you know the format, how to do that. Like here if I just tell you 10 lakh 15 lakh minus करेंगे 5 lakh is going to be this column C. And then when we know 5 lakh into 100 upon 10 lakh will give us 50. So 50 is what? 50%. Percentage is something that we've already put into the column, so we are not going to be writing for everything, but we are very clear that this, like you can say you have A, you have B, you have C, you have D. D is being calculated by C upon 100 into A. Sorry, C upon A into 100 is what gives you D. And then if you are going to see the C column, the C is B minus A. Then B and A are already given in the question, so remember these things. Okay, so A and B are already given, and you have to calculate C by taking the difference between the current year and the previous year. Then after taking the difference, you are going to calculate the percentage, which is C, which is the difference of the 2 years upon previous year into 100. Okay, now half mark for each correct row up to the calculation of correct percentage. If you have calculated the correct percentages, you will get half mark for each correct row. I hope you know what is row, what is column. So if B minus A is negative, write in brackets. Here there is no bracket into this column, like here you have 20,000. So if you see, this previous year is 2 lakh, like income that you've earned in previous year is 2 lakh, whereas now you have earned less, 1,80,000, but you always do current year minus previous year, which means that if current year going to be less than the previous year, you will get the answer in minus, and minus answer always are put into the brackets. I hope you get this part. Now moving on to the next question, where we have to prepare statement of profit and loss for the year ended 31st March 2012. Here again we have to prepare a comparative statement of profit and loss. Now I think you can try it. 2010 to 11 is your previous year, then this is your current year. You know the 4 columns to be made. Then this is going to be the column C, which is made by B minus A. Then you have to calculate the percentage change, which will be done by C minus previous year, was denoted by the letter A. Then you have to do into 100. So this was the thing that you need to do. This is your previous year, this was your A, this was your B, which is your current year, given into the question. So I hope you are clear. You can do this one. You just need to subtract B minus A, then B minus A ka subtraction upon 16 lakh into 100 will give you D column ki first value in the first column. Clear? So here also we have the solution. If you see, so this is a solution for the previous question. If you are done with doing that, you can match your answers. Either you get them correct or not. You need to get each percentage correct. For each percentage in row, will give you half mark. Okay, so I hope you are clear with this format very well. So we did 2 questions of PL account with the comparative size. Now preparation of a comparative statement of profit and loss for the following information. Now again there is a third question that you can look at. Here if you see, this is little bit complex doing, because here it says revenue from operations is 8 lakh, 10 lakh. It is in absolute numbers. Then cost of revenue from operations says to be 60% of sales, 60% of sales. Now what is sales? Sales is revenue from operations, which we also say as RFO. RFO and sales are one and the same thing. So cost of revenue operation is 60% of 8 lakh and 60% of 10 lakh in the year 2014. So 2013 is the previous year, then this is a current year. Now if you see that in the previous year you have 60% of sales were 8 lakh, 60% of 8 lakh and 60% of 10 lakh will give you your cost of revenue from operations. Then you have employee benefit expenses, 10% of cost revenue, like whatever the amount you get here, then 10% of it is employee benefit expenses. Now you need to remember, in the total revenue you have revenue from operations and the other income. If there is no other income given in the question, you are just simply going to take revenue from operations equals to total revenue. Okay, then in the expenses you are given 2 expenses: cost of revenue from operations, employee benefit expenses. So both are going to be meant Then you have income tax rate that you have to subtract at the end, so do accordingly. So this is how you get them. Okay, so here if you see the solution, this is the solution for the question that we have seen just now. Now looking at this solution, what you can understand and what you can get is, here the columns were same, like you have A, you have B, you have C, you have D, and how you calculated is very evident. 2013 is a previous year, current year, then absolute change, that is increase and decrease by current year minus previous year. Then you have talked about the percentage change, increase or decrease by the formula C into 100 by A. Then you have talked about the format like this. So this was your format. Here there are, I think, more, like there are just 3 expenses given into your question, but there are 8 to 9 expenses that we have in our business, and they need to be in a sequence. Okay, now other income was 0, so I have made the format because it is a part of it, but I haven't entered any value here. If you see, no values. The values are only for revenue from operations: 8 lakh previous year, 10 lakh current year. Then we calculated the absolute change, which is 2 lakh. Then we talked about the percentage, that is 25%. Then total revenue, we get exactly same what we have in revenue from operations. Then we talked about the expenses. In expenses we have cost of revenue from operations, which is 60% of sales, which is 4,80,000. Here we have the note number. We have shown that how we have calculated it. Then 6 lakh here in the previous year. Then we calculated by current year minus previous year. 6 lakh minus 4,80,000 is 1,20,000. Then again percentage was 25. Then employee benefit expenses on the very same note, like here we have 10% of 4,80,000 in the previous year, and 10% of 6 lakh in the current year, 60,000, which is, and then we calculated the column C value, which is 12,000, and then we get 25% again. Then the fourth column that we made is of total expenses. In the total expenses we get this. Then now we know that we have profit before tax that we need to talk about, which is total revenue minus total expenses, which is these values that we get. These keep matching, either you are getting these values or not. Okay, then you have tax expenses, which is current tax, 50% and 60%. So 50% is the previous year current tax, and then 60% is going to be current year. So you have calculated 50% of 2,72,000. No, I guess okay, so it is current tax. You've made 1,36,000, 2,04,000, then 68,000 absolute change that you got. Of course it is going to be same. Then you've calculated the percentage change, which was of 50%. Then you've talked about profit after tax, which is fifth minus 6. Now fifth was profit before tax minus tax expenses. So 2,72,000 minus 1,36,000 gave you 1,36,000 on the both previous year and the current year. You don't need to find out the things, so you just simply did. So this was the note number 1, which how we calculated it for the previous year, our cost of revenue from operations. Hope you get this solution as well. Now talking about this one, where we have to prepare common size statement. Okay, so we are till now was talking about comparative comparative PL statement, but now we are going to look at common size statement. Here, what are common size statement? First let's discuss that. Common size statements express all items of financial statement as a percentage of some base, such as revenue from operations for profit and loss statement, and totals of balance sheet for balance sheet. Okay, so here if you see, you have a question again to look at. Here you have a question: Raj Limited decided to bear the higher education cost of 5 brilliant students belonging to the weaker section of the society. Following is the statement of profit and loss of Raj Limited for the year ended 31st. Like this was the PL given to you. Now you have to prepare a common size of profit and loss for the year ended. Now how the columns look like? First let's discuss the format. The format is like whatever in the particular particulars part given to you, write it down in the way. Then you are given with the amounts already into the question. If you see, these amounts are again been there, and then you have to calculate the percent of revenue from operations. Okay, then you have calculated the percentage of revenue from operations. Okay, 2 lakh, that is 2 lakh upon 2 lakh into 100 is 100%, because 2 lakh gets cancelled, you get 100. Then 15,000 upon 2 lakh, 15,000 upon 2 lakh into 100, this is how you will get for this one. Then which is 7.5%. Then 2,15,000 upon 2 lakh into 100 will give you 107.5%. Similarly I did for this one also, and get these percentages. So this is how you prepare common size statement of P&L. Okay, are you clear with this or not? Okay, so hope you are. Now I'm gonna be moving somewhere to the next point. Okay, now here we have a cash flow statement to look at, which we will be doing in the next lecture very vividly. Here we haven't talked about the balance sheet, and that we will do in the next part. In this part we just talked about the comparative and the common size P&L statement. P&L statement is profit and loss account. In the next part I will conclude the both. I will be talking about the balance sheet and revisiting this profit and loss account. Till then, like, share, and please don't forget to subscribe. Okay, thank you.